With CSS Grid, we can do some pretty amazing things. We can easily place items in the center of containers. We can stack items without positioning. We can create complex layouts quickly with ease. And we can even animate to unknown heights, which used to be near impossible without using JavaScript. So in this video, we'll take a look at a few of my favorite Grid-provided abilities. All right, let's get to it. Positioning items in the center of a container vertically used to be surprisingly difficult. With Flexbox, it got a lot easier. And now with Grid, we can do it in just 2 lines of code. Let's look at an example. Let's say we want to place our blue square pseudo element in the center of this box with a border. Well, all we need to do is add display grid to the container, and then we can just add place items, center. It's just that easy. And with Grid, we can even take another item in the same cell and center it without any positioning. Here, we'll add an after pseudo element. We'll make it a purple circle this time. Now, it's not quite what we want. They're stacked because the implicit grid has actually created 2 separate rows for each of our items. But if we simply place each of these items in the first cell with grid column and grid row properties, we'll see that they're now stacked on top of each other in the center. So this is a slick way to do this type of thing for sure. Now along these lines, Grid allows us to pretty easily pull off some layouts that used to require more complicated positioning or negative margins. For example, this style of layout is fairly common on the web. But how do you get this purple bar in the background here with the content on top of it? With Grid, this is easy. Okay, so here's what we're starting with. First thing we need to do is set the container to display grid. Then we need to set up our rows. So we add our grid template rows property. We'll make the first row 3EM. This will be the transparent area above the purple bar. Now we'll make our second row 12EM. This is the row that our purple bar will go in. And the last row will just be auto-sized to the remaining content. This will be the transparent area beneath the purple bar. There's the grid rows that we're working with. Now we need to place both of these items into a single grid column. We can do this with the grid column property. We'll start at the first column and end at the last column. When we use this value of -1, this means the column will always extend to the end of the last column, even if we were to add more columns in the future. Okay, so now both items will sit in the same grid column. Now let's place the purple bar. Since the first row is reserved for the area above the bar, we'll be placing it on grid row 2. Okay, so now our content is going to span all 3 rows. So we'll place it on grid row 1, and in this case, since we have a specific number of rows defined, like our grid column, we can add a value of -1. However, it's important to note that this would not work if we were dealing with a dynamic number of rows. But for this example, with explicit rows, this works out perfectly. No positioning or negative margins needed. So this final example is probably my favorite. You can now easily transition to an unknown height. Now, you could almost pull this off by transitioning a max height before Grid was available, but it was always a little strange because you needed to specify a really large arbitrary value to animate to. Well, not anymore. Since the fractional unit is an animatable property, we can simply use transitions now. So here, in this example, we've got this button that toggles our content. It does this by toggling an expanded class on our container with JavaScript every time you click on the button. And here we can see that to show and hide this content, we're switching between 0fr when it's collapsed and then 1fr when the expanded class is added. Well, since fr is an animatable property, we can simply add a transition to ease our grid template rows property when it changes. Let's use ½ second. And now, when we click the button, we can see that it's simply easing between an unknown height and a known height. So hopefully these tips help ease some of your day-to-day workflow when working with CSS. And if you found it helpful, or heck, even if you hated it, let me know in a comment below. Also, the links to the 3 demos can be found in the description below as well. Until next time, thanks for watching.